This time around, we're going to go through and find exact values of trig functions for secant, cosecant, tangent, and cotangent. We're going to go through and use the reference angles and the reference triangles to figure out what they are no matter what quadrant I'm in. So let's go ahead and get started. We'll start our first one with determining the cosecant of pi divided by 3. So the first thing I want to do is at least make this look partly to scale or as close to scale as possible. I know now that pi over 3 is the equivalent of a 60-degree angle. So to draw this, I want to draw something that is as close to a 60-degree angle as possible. And that will give me that point on the circle. And remember that that point on the circle, xy, is nothing more than the cosine of theta and then the sine of theta. So now I draw my reference triangle. Gives me a nice 90-degree angle. The reason we want to draw this as close to our scale as possible is because we know that our shorter side, when we have a 30, 60, 90 right triangle, this is going to be 1/2. This is going to be the square root of 3 divided by 2. We know that the y component is going to be the sine, so that means then sine of theta is equal to the square root of 3 divided by 2. Great, I'm not done though, because it's asking for cosecant. So the reason I was looking at sine is because the reciprocal of sine is cosecant. So that means then, all right, cosecant of theta is going to equal 1 divided by sine of theta. So let's switch this around. We know that theta is actually pi over 3, and that's why we got square root of 3 over 2 here. So then cosecant of pi divided by 3 is equal to the reciprocal of whatever sine theta is. So then I have 2 divided by square root of 3. I can't leave square root of 3 in the denominator, so that's why we have to rationalize. So square root of 3 divided by square root of 3. Multiply it all out, and we end up that the cosecant of pi divided by 3 is, multiply across the top, 2 square root of 3 divided by, oops, sorry, the marker's not quite right. There we go. And then square root of 3 times square root of 3, which is 3. So we go through and we figure out first with our drawing, okay, our reference triangle, figure out what the side lengths are, and then we can go ahead and from there figure out what our other factors are, what our other values are. All right, let's try another example. We want to figure out the secant of negative 3 pi divided by 4. All right, so negative 3 pi, that means we're going to be going this way. All right, this is 0. Here, this is pi. Well, if I need this in fourths, then that's going to be a 4 pi over 4. So I'm rotating this way. I can't get all the way to 4 pi over 4, so I'm going to be here in this quadrant, in quadrant 3. Remember that pi over 4 is the equivalent of a 45-degree angle. And remember that my side lengths in the 45, 90 triangle is square root of 2 divided by 2, square root of 2 divided by 2. We also have to deal with the signs, SIGNs, of which direction I'm going, because again, I want to figure out this point. So yes, the sides are square root of 2 over 2, but since we are in the third quadrant, that means they are both negative. Okay, so now secant. Well, secant, remember, secant of some angle is equal to the reciprocal of the cosine. All right, so then cosine of, in this case, negative 3 pi divided by 4 is equal to, well, based on the quadrant, let's see. Cosine is the adjacent side. It's my x component, so that's equal to negative square root of 2 divided by 2. Secant says take the reciprocal of that function, so we're going to do that. So then secant of negative 3 pi divided by 4 is equal to, a reciprocal still keeps the sign of whatever it is, so it's still going to be negative, and then 2 divided by square root of 2. Again, can't leave a square root in the denominator, so we have to rationalize. Now I get negative 2 square root of 2, all divided by 2. There's a lot of 2's in here. These two 2's divide out to be 1, and I end up with negative square root of 2. And that is the secant of negative 3 pi divided by 4. No idea why I had to use the cartoony voice, but whatever. All right, moving on to the next one. We're going to figure out the cotangent of negative pi. So negative pi, so we go this way. That's now negative pi. This point is what I need. That point is negative 1, 0. Okay, so remember that for xy, that's an x, xy is equal to cosine of theta and then sine theta. All right, and we know cotangent of some theta is equal to the reciprocal of tangent. So we got to remember back to our quotient identities. So tangent is sine divided by cosine, which then means cotangent is cosine divided by sine. So cosine of theta divided by sine theta. So let's take the value. So now I'm going to do cotangent of negative pi. Cosine is the first component, negative 1. Sine is the second component, which is 0. So what we have then is we have something that is undefined. So there you cannot find what the value of cotangent of negative pi, because it's an undefined value. And that's okay. As we go through and we roll more with this and start getting into graphs, you'll understand why based on the visuals. All right, but this is mathematically, this is our calculation for this. Now you can do this with every single different function. I could have gone through and for cotangent or just being at negative pi, I could have figured out all 6 of them. And that's what we'll do in the next video, but given different bits of information. All right, so again, I really hope this was helpful and that you end up having a great day.